and welcome to Sunday Express. President William Ruto is asking the opposition to give him space to work and steer development in the country, simply saying, give me a break. The opposition, on the other hand, continues to dig in. It says the protests will resume after Ramadan. Which way, Kenya? That's the big question tonight.
And also on matters sports, why Kenya continues making headlines in the international airwaves. Tomorrow, the greatest of all time, that is Eliud Kipchoge, will be doing another. And that is a tactical Boston Marathon that comes exactly 10 years after the Boston bombing.
And of course, this championship that is upcoming tomorrow. We have the latest also in sports that will be coming up a little bit later. But the conversation tonight clearly focuses on the boy child.
Yes, and the question is, and I like what our guest has already put out on Twitter, if boys don't know, then how will men learn? Or if boys don't learn, how will men know?
Interesting. Here are tonight's highlights.
Tulikubaliana wao walete kamati yao, sisi tumetengeneza kamati yetu, waketi chini, waongee, ile watakubaliana, tupeleke Kenya mbele, lakini waniwachie nafasi nipange mambo ya maendeleo ya taifa letu la Kenya.
Bipartisan talks, President William Ruto rules out any engagement with the opposition extending beyond the Parliamentary Bipartisan Committee. Probe police conduct during anti-government protests. Azimio leadership stands by its letter to the International Criminal Court. Road carnage. 13 dead in road accident along the Wundanyi-Mwatate Road in Taita Taveta County.
We need to send a high-level delegation to Khartoum as and when it is practically possible.
And crisis in Sudan. UN Food Agency suspend activities as death toll rises.
And welcome again to the broadcast. My name is John Jacob Kioria. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Lensa Odengo.
And I am Regina Manyara.
Now, President William Ruto has told the opposition to give him room to work and steer the country towards development.
The president, who spoke during an interdenominational prayer service in Machakos, ruled out any engagement with the opposition extending beyond the Parliamentary Bipartisan Committee.
After taking a 2 weeks break, President William Ruto was back to his routine. The interdenominational Thanksgiving service, this time in Machakos County, bringing together counties from the larger Ukambani region. Reacting to assertions that the opposition will be holding demonstrations parallel to the bipartisan talks, the president called on the opposition to allow him space to work and steer the country's economy devoid of distractions.
Wao walete kamati yao, sisi tumetengeneza kamati yetu, waketi chini, waongee, ile watakubaliana, tupeleke Kenya mbele, lakini waniwachie nafasi nipange mambo ya maendeleo ya taifa letu la Kenya na wananchi wa taifa letu la Kenya.
The head of state ruled out any engagement with the opposition outside his proposal of a bipartisan parliamentary process.
Sasa ni wakati wa kushughulika na mambo ya wananchi. Haiwezekani ya kwamba tunamaliza uchaguzi, alafu baada ya uchaguzi badala ya kushughulika na mambo ya wananchi ati tunaanza tena kushughulika na mambo ya viongozi. Tumekubaliana ndugu zangu watu wa Machakos.
This decision that you made as leaders, as a community, kukataa hii maneno ya kuweka sufuria kichwa na maandamano, mumeheshimika katika Jamhuri ya Kenya.
Being Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka's backyard, President Ruto called for unity of purpose among elected leaders for posterity.
Governor Wavinya, we want to salute you. The decision you have also made as a governor of Machakos is leadership.
Wale MCAs tuko nao, wabunge tulio nao, maseneta, magavana tulio nao, women rep na wale wengine wote, hakuna mtu amechaguliwa kwa bahati mbaya. Sote tumechaguliwa kwa mapenzi ya Mungu.
And we join the church in calling on all leaders in our country that we make every effort to ensure that there is peace and mutual edification in our country.
Na nimekuambia vizuri Mheshimiwa Rais, I am going to work in collaboration with the national government because the constitution is very clear.
So to say that President Ruto's government, which is now 7 months old, is the government that is responsible for all those things, that can't be correct.
Tumekataa mambo ya maandamano na sote tumesema siasa za mtoto wetu tuache.
Sisi utatusikia katika maneno ya maandamano. We decided that Kamba people have better businesses to do. It is not because we are cowards, we are not cowards.
Na sisi tuko tayari kuendelea na wewe, na viongozi wengine pia wamejitokeza, tumeshikana. Kwa hivyo ukija Ukambani usione kama au
sisi Machakos, sisi hatuna maandamano vile, na hatuwezi kubali maandamano, Mheshimiwa Rais.
Owing to a recurring problem of water shortage, the president promised several multi-billion dams in Machakos, Kitui and Makueni for domestic use and irrigation. And now the Azimio leadership says it stands by its letter to the International Criminal Court calling for a probe into the police action during opposition-led anti-government protests that led to deaths and injuries.
Speaking in Nairobi's Kamukunji grounds, the opposition leaders maintained that mass demonstrations will resume amid the bipartisan talks.
On Sunday, the Azimio Brigade was at Kamkunji grounds in Shaurimoyo, Nairobi for its series of public barazas. The leaders faulting the police for what they termed as gross violation of the Constitution of Kenya during the recent anti-government protests.
Fujo inaanzwa na askari wa Bwana Ruto. Hao ndio wameanza fujo, wamepiga watu wetu, hata wameua watu wetu wengine, sio?
Led by Azimio leader Raila Odinga, the leaders stood by their letter to the International Criminal Court to probe police conduct during the demos.
Tumeandika barua sasa kwa koti kuu ya ulimwengu kule Holanzi, kule ICC. Kwanza mshtakiwa wa kwanza ni Inspector General ya Police.
Ukipanga maovu kwa wengine, maovu inaweza kukurudia. Sisi tunataka kusema pole sana kwa wale wamefiwa kwa maandamano ya Azimio na pia hiyo maandamano ya Chuka.
Mtoto mmoja akapigwa risasi akiwa ghorofa ya 4 kwa sababu alikuwa anaweka maji, na mnajua wa expensive 120 jerrycan ya maji is so expensive, pande ule anatumwagilia na kuimba ule wimbo unitakaze.
The opposition announced that the countrywide anti-government protests will resume amid the bipartisan talks.
Ramadhani kiisha namna hii, tunarudi kwa barabara.
Kama unga haijafika shilingi 100, maandamano yanafanya nini?
Yale madharau wako nayo ni madharau ambayo tunasema tukiwa na idhini yenu ya kwamba rudi kwa maandamano.
Unasema wananchi wamekuchosha na kuvaa sufuria, wawache kuvaa sufuria kwa kichwa. Heri hao wananchi wanavaa sufuria kwa kichwa kwa sababu hakuna chenye wanapika kwa hiyo sufuria.
Sitasimama maovu ya kitawala.
In the meantime, the Azimio has threatened to boycott bipartisan parliamentary talks on grounds of its member elders lawmaker Adan Keynan being in the Kenya Kwanza list.
Tumesema tutaki kuona sura ya Bwana Keynan. Keynan cannot be a delegation representing Kenya Kwanza. He was elected to parliament of the ticket of Jubilee.
The Azimio leaders now say they will continue to pile pressure to the government to deliver on three issues: the issue of cost of living, opening of the servers, and changes in the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, saying they will continue with their protests to ensure the three things are taken care of. Timothy Kipnusu for Sunday Express, Nairobi.
Clearly one among the most contentious issues, other than what shall be canvassed later, is the membership of Aden Keynan belonging to the other side of Kenya Kwanza. Remember, these are ruling expected this coming week on whether Sabina Chege can continue serving as the minority deputy whip under the Jubilee Party, obviously owing to her perceived allegiance. Quite an interesting debate moving forward. Let's take it forward.
Indeed. Now, Inspector General of Police Japhet Koome has dismissed a letter by the Azimio La Umoja coalition to the International Criminal Court calling for a probe into police conduct during the opposition-led anti-government protests.
Koome has termed the letter as propaganda meant to intimidate him and his officers.
In the letter to the International Criminal Court by Azimio La Umoja under the representation of Paul Mwangi, the Inspector General of Police Japhet Koome is accused of establishing a special squad of rogue police officers to unleash terror on Azimio supporters during demonstrations. Other allegations include public threats to kill and maim protesters, as well as the alleged attempted assassination of Azimio leader Raila Odinga. However, the Inspector General has dismissed the letter, terming it as propaganda being fronted by a politician targeting a certain community.
Nilikuwa nasikia naangalia tu kwa runinga. Umeletea hiyo barua leo, nimeisoma, nimeona Koome ametajwa mara karibu 20 kwa hiyo barua. Sasa nashindwa ndugu zanguni. A senior politician spending all the energy mentioning a policeman 20 times. There are better things to do. In that letter, have they talked about this businessman in Kisumu was crying? Did you see that businessman saying one day is bankrupt?
Koome says that the letter is a ploy to intimidate him and his officers from dispensing their duties to protect life and property.
Us as a National Police Service, we are not at all intimidated by those letters. Therefore, I wish to request my fellow members of the National Police Service not to be intimidated at all by threats to serve our country, to serve our good country, to serve our good people, to serve the many foreign visitors in this country without fear or favor.
Responding to Azimio move to resume holding demonstrations, the IG has vowed to use all means in his power to prevent the destruction of property.
Yeyote atajaribu kuharibu mali, yeyote atajaribu kutishia maisha ya Mkenya mwenzake, hapo nitakuja hapo na nitatumia vifaa zote ambazo nimepewa na Wakenya.
On Saturday, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua came to the defense of the IG following the emergence of the letter, saying the government is fully behind him.
Continue doing your work. You are very professional IG doing your work professionally. All you did is to protect life and property. Had they not come to the streets, there would have been no issue between the police and the demonstrators.
Nancy Okware, Sunday Express.
That report by Nancy Okware takes us to a very fast breather on Sunday Express. But of course, after sport, we have an interview coming up.
Indeed, and we're talking about the process of becoming a man of valor. Do keep it right here.
That's the conversation Regina will be having with our guest tonight. But let's take a breather. We'll be back in a minute.
Nafasi yako ya kuwa mdosi wako. Jiunge na washindi tufanye biashara. Kuwa mshindi. Mozartbet.
Welcome to Take on Tech. This is the show that keeps you updated on everything you need to know about technology.
First of all, the women that are already in tech should be empowered.
I've actually studied electrical and electronics engineering, telecommunications option. So basically I'm in the tech sector.
The government should empower the girl child in a way that they should venture so much into ICT.
There's never a dull moment with us. Tune in every Monday from 10:30 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1.
Good evening, you're still watching Sunday Express.
Now, the Interfaith Council of Kenya is now calling on President William Ruto and Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition leader Raila Odinga to cease grandstanding and give dialogue a chance.
The religious leaders say that the problems facing the country require a sober approach by all leaders in the interest of the country.
Speaking during an iftar dinner hosted by the Interfaith Council of Kenya themed Strengthening Interfaith Harmony for National Cohesion, the clerics, led by SUPKEM chairman Hassan Ole Nado, have urged leaders to embrace a selfless attitude and give dialogue a chance to address the issues of concern to the country.
We want to urge these teams, as we are waiting these groups to come together and maybe they work on their kind of their roadmap. We are calling upon them to maintain peace and also give that dialogue a chance. I think it is premature to call for demonstration at this point when already the teams have been formed. We are all of us as Kenyans watching what's going to take place. We are watching the conversations, and we expect that despite the challenges that we are facing as a country, we should not make it worse.
We remain united as the religious leaders, but also we advance, human conscious for peace, especially this time when we are having some difficult times in our country.
What we have been going through as a nation, I would want to say these are dynamics of life, and we are very grateful that we are talking, because dialogue is the way out. Peace knows no religion, it knows no color. Peace is universal. And so my plea to everyone, all of us, this is a collective adventure, that the gains that we have had in this nation are so big that we cannot let down our guard, we cannot leave our watchtower.
Elsewhere, a section of religious and political leaders in Siaya are calling on the country's political leadership to embrace dialogue to reduce political tension in the country. Led by Maseno West Anglican Diocese Bishop Reverend John Mark Godia, the religious leaders are appealing to Kenyans not to go back to the streets, but allow talks to yield a solution to the issues affecting them.
It's our appeal that we do not go back to the streets, but continue until we can get a solution to the issues that are affecting Kenyans. Going to the streets will not solve our problems, but when we sit and talk, we can be able to find solutions to our problems as people that live in one nation.
Elsewhere, Siaya Governor James Orengo now says the bipartisan talks between the government and the opposition should not be held on the basis of parity and equality if the country is to benefit from the negotiations. Orengo said that the government team must not approach the negotiating table with a feeling of supremacy, saying this will have a negative outcome.
And there must be a face of women and people who are living with disability. When we have conversations, we must involve the church. The church is very important. But in this current state of affairs, you will find that the appointments that are being made is just for one particular community. We're not saying that that community is not entitled. But as Kenyans, we are all entitled.
Finally, a war of words ensued on between Azimio la Umoja One Kenya leaders and the Kenya Kwanza during a rally in Kilifi County, with a nominee of the bipartisan committee, Amina Mnyazi, firing at the Kenya Kwanza government to accept positive criticism from the opposition.
lakini tunasema bado tunataka pia stima irudi, tunataka bei ya maji pia irudi. Kuandamana ni haki yetu pia ya kikatiba. Kama tutaona mambo hayaendi sawa, tutafanya nini? Kama mambo hayaendi sawa, tutafanya nini? Tutazungumza, na kama hamsikii kuandamana, tutaandamana.
In a rejoinder, Public Service Cabinet Secretary Aisha Jumwa defended President Ruto's government, urging the opposition to be honest about the cost of living debate.
Lazima tuseme ukweli. Aliyepandisha unga na maisha kuwa magumu ni Raila na Uhuru Kenyatta. Na hao leo Mheshimiwa Ruto miezi 7 ndani ya serikali, kutoka unga 240 leo unga umeshuka umefika 180.
At least 13 people died and several others are seriously injured in a road accident at the Josa area along the Ndani Mwatate Road in Taita Taveta County after the driver of a bus carrying a group of mourners lost control.
The bus then rolled down a slope. The mourners were traveling to Mombasa after attending a funeral in Magamboni.
Nibia slow post kwa driver. Mbona bado na accelerate bwana, kuna mteremko hapa mbele. Driver ni kama alikuwa amelewa kiasi. Kwa sababu ni mtu wa Mugoka, alinunua pakiti kama 10 hapo asubuhi na fegi pakiti 2. Alafu asemekana kama alionja kijipombe huko. Sasa kumwambia sijamaliza. Sasa huyu jamaa asubuhi kwa tumeongea, yasema yeye ni expert. Amefanya kazi, amefanya highway miaka mingi sana. So
tukaendelea. Gari ilikuwa imebeba capacity mpaka wawili watatu walikuwa kama wamesimama. Sasa kusema ilikuwa ni excess kwa sababu tupangalia nyuma kama kuna nafasi za viti, lakini ilikuwa wamesimama watu watatu.
Wananchi wakati wa tukio kama hili sote tuwe kitu kimoja, kama ule mfano watu walionyesha jana baada ya hii ajali. Manake kila mmoja alijitolea mali alikuwa anaweza.
Quite unfortunate. Now, Information, Communication, Technology and Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo is calling for a paradigm shift in politics in Nyanza, a predominantly opposition zone.
Owalo wants the region to join UDA and position itself as a major stakeholder in the Kenya Kwanza government going forward.
Saying UDA will win the 2027 poll, Owalo urged residents not to be left out of the government again.
He spoke as he met farmers drawn from sugar, cotton and rice growing regions, or other areas from Nyanza at his rural home in Rarieda, Siaya County.
For a second day running, the home of the Information, Communication, Technology and Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo in Asembo, Rarieda constituency was a beehive of activities as he continues with sector-focused discourse.
The President has given us the script, and we have taken the cue from him that the mandate of the Kenya Kwanza government right now is to address the challenges facing the common mwananchi. And as his appointees, we are ready and willing to do everything that is humanly possible to make sure that within this term of the current Ruto government, we have fundamental change in the Nyanza region by way of economic development.
A day after he met teachers union officials drawn from Nyanza, the cabinet secretary today played host to farmers' representatives drawn from the sugar, cotton and rice sectors. The farmers spelling out challenges bedeviling agriculture in the region and the expectations from Kenya Kwanza government.
When you go to the sugar factories, they have one umbrella apex institution. But when you come to the sugarcane farmers, we have several umbrella apex institutions. This has created a lot of confusion in the sugar industry and even in the farmer leadership.
Sugar farmers calling for the passage of the sugar bill that will see a raft of changes in the sector that include reintroduction of the sugar board and the sugar development levy.
We have Moroni Sugar Company which collapsed but to date is still under receivership. Bwana Waziri, that receivership, the farmers yesterday were also pleading with the government that curtain of receivership, it's a high time They have been in under receivership for almost 30 years.
While reiterating government's stand on ensuring a conducive environment for farmers to flourish.
So we are no longer interested in retrogressive politics day in, day out. That one we have done for the past 60 years. It has not taken us anywhere. Let us talk about politics of the economy. Are we together? Siasa ya uchumi, ili pesa ingie kwa mfuko ya mkulima, mfuko ya mwalimu na wengine.
He called on Nyanza residents to support UDA and the government.
And let me also steal for you the exam, because I know the secret. Let me give you more Kenya. This Ruto government will also form the 2027 government. Based on delivery to the common mwananchi, based on performance. We will deliver to the people and we will get a resounding yes vote again in 2027. Yes. Sasa tutafanya kazi na serikali ama tutashinda kwa mwaka 10 tukibeba sufuria kwa barabara.
Simon, Sunday Express, Siaya County.
The Retirement Benefits Authority, RBA, will be holding a clinic at Nyeri's Huduma Center from the 17th to the 21st of April 2023. Our officers will be on hand to answer any questions you may have on saving for retirement, information on the process of filing a complaint with RBA and the resolution process, technical assistance on RBA online tools like the Whistleblower Portal, RBA mobile app, the process of registration and licensing of retirement benefit schemes. Remember, anyone with an income can save for retirement. Come know more about which retirement benefits scheme you can join. RBA, safeguarding your retirement benefits.
Leta na badate. Geni yangu menijeshea.
Ukipata mkuu yako imekuwa ya kondo, usiniulize.
Nini mbaya na wewe?
Hii inaitwa tester. Na test kama mimi niko na simu ama kuna.
Kuna mwangaza huku nje. Hata ni mchoro umechao kwa sababu tiri yako mfunguka. Mama bado nimechawa.
Si wewe ndio naye?
Ndio ni huyu.
Ngia bwana.
Si mimi.
What am I forgetting? Nini? Workers paid. Rent checked. Mlango locked. Visiting out of the Goza mzae silitoa jana la internet zote. What is it? What am I forgetting?
Nini? Nimesahau kucheza Loto Moto.
Usisahau kucheza Loto Moto. Unaweza shinda hadi milioni 2 kwenye M-Pesa. Chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number weka 757070. Account number weka neno Loto. Weka kiwango chochote cha pesa kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi 2000. Lipa kisha subiri draw. Ujumbe huu umeidhinishwa na BCLP.
You're watching the Sunday Express. The government has expressed commitment to support the scouting movement in Kenya.
Speaking during the official opening ceremony of the first ever African Roll-Over Moot at Roland National Scout Camp, Nairobi Youth Affairs, Sports and Arts Cabinet Secretary Ababu Namwamba said scouting plays a critical role in shaping the current and future generation.
Since during the official opening of the first Africa ever Rover Moot, scouts drawn from over 30 countries across the globe can't hide their delight. However happy they might be, it took them rigorous processes to be here.
Anybody who have come to this camp, they have attended a course we call Safe from Harm. Scouting, we are very keen to make sure that our camp is safe.
The Rovers will be taken through a 10-day training, which will focus on innovations, adventure, internal exposure, and environment.
And these 10 days, I can assure them, will be full of activities.
On its part, the government, through the Ministry of Youth Affairs, Sports and Arts, has embraced the event and expressed its readiness to host and nurture Rovers both locally and globally.
To confirm full support by government for the scouting movement in Kenya and globally.
The Cabinet Secretary Ababu Namwamba further said that his ministry will give the scouting units in the country a huge focus, given that it is one of the main keys in promoting patriotism in the country.
We have made the strategic decision to support the scouting movement as part of our broader effort to develop young people, to give young people space, to give young people leadership roles at the earliest opportunity possible, and also to develop their talents. You know, when you talk about the scouting movement, you're talking about building character, you're talking about preparing young people for leadership roles, to be responsible citizens.
Frederick Parsayo, Sunday Express.
Close to 60 people have been confirmed dead in Sudan's capital, Khartoum, following clashes that erupted Saturday between Sudan's army and the paramilitary group, the Rapid Support Forces, RSF.
Sudan's army have said that the jets have been hit bases belonging to the Rapid Support Forces, RFS, and an exchange of gunfire was reported in the later part of Sunday.
Residents dodged gunfire in Sudan's capital, Khartoum, on Saturday as rival forces battled over the presidential palace, state broadcaster, and army headquarters. Up to this point, almost 60 people have been confirmed dead as the clashes erupted after tensions over a proposed transition to civilian rule.
I am very happy that this afternoon my elder brothers, the heads of state from the other countries, have convened so that we can take charge of not just the organization, but also take charge of the situation in our region.
Both the army and its opponents, the Rapid Support Forces, RSF, claimed they had control of the airport and other key sites in Khartoum as fighting continued overnight until Sunday. Heavy gunfire was heard in Omdurman, which adjoins Khartoum, a nearby Bari, and the Red Sea city of Port. The army said jets were hitting the Rapid Support Forces bases, and the Sudanese Air Force told people to remain in their homes on Saturday night while it conducted a full aerial survey of paramilitary activity.
As IGAD and as heads of state, that we ask for an immediate cessation of hostilities between the combatants. Number two is to move with speed and conclude on this one matter, on the matter that is causing this whole problem. We provide a mechanism as IGAD, together with our partners, on how this single matter of integration of RSF is resolved.
Meanwhile, the World Food Programme was suspended after their staff was killed. One of its planes has also been damaged. For Sunday Express, I'm Alvin Kaunda.
You know, this complicates the situation very much for IGAD. That meeting you saw the president having there, because that means Sudan was not stable. It didn't have leadership, what you would say stable leadership. Now that confrontation, the neighbor South Sudan is not stable. We have Ethiopia, we have Somalia, we have including parts of Eritrea. So definitely that tells you then it's a very complicated situation for IGAD in terms of stabilizing that region.
Exactly. Now let's stop off back to the local scene and focus on what is happening in Meru County, where a family in Pori Imenti North is seeking financial aid to take their kin to India for a heart surgery.
Chris Jabali, aged 1 year and 3 months, has a hole in his heart and requires 2.5 million shillings for treatment.
The funds will also cover transport and accommodation.
Jabali, aged 1 year 3 months, is struggling with a heart condition after being diagnosed with a hole in his heart. According to the family who spoke to us at their rural home in Mpuri, Meru County, his predicament started as a normal nose blockage which became consistent.
Nilipeleka kliniki ya kwanza, nikapata hajaongeza kilo, nikaanza kushangaa ni nini. Na alikuwa na koa sana. Hata ukimsikiza akipumua, ulikuwa unasikia anapumua ni kama mtu amefungana kwa kifua.
Later, after several medical checkups, it turned out to be a heart condition.
Yule daktari wa Kakana alikuwa mzuri kwa sababu alituangalia tena bila kutucharge pesa yoyote. Lakini sasa alisema hiyo shimo yenye kwa moyo haifungiki na itabidi mtoto afanywe upasuaji kwa moyo.
Tumekuwa kwa madaktari kadhaa na wametueleza kwamba mtoto atahitaji upasuaji na upasuaji huo unafaa ufanyike India.
The family is now appealing to any well-wisher to help them raise 2.5 million Kenyan shillings that will facilitate the medical expense for the little Jabali in India as they are unable to raise the amount.
Hapo ndio tumefika na Chris. Tumeuza kila kitu. Tuko na madeni kila mahali. Hatujui tuanzie wapi na mtoto ndio anaendelea kukua.
Kwangu mimi kazi ambayo naifanya hela ambazo napata ni kidogo sana, haziwezi fika kunisaidia kugharamia hiyo upasuaji.
To support Chris Jabali Medical Fund, you can send your contributions to M-Pesa paybill number 6302121, account number Jabali.
Wito wangu ni mtu yote ambaye anaweza kuwa anatuona, ananiona kama familia, atusaidie mtoto wetu aweze kutibiwa.
Opicho Chemtai for Sunday Express.
Wow. The pay bill is 6302121, account Jabali.
That's the number you can send your contribution to. Let's help the lady and the husband to get that child treated in India. And of course, it should be accompanied by this story as an encouragement to you, because Kenya Sunday joined the world in marking this year's Good Deeds Day, with corporate organizations and Kenyans being urged to participate more in volunteer work.
The Good Deeds Organization Kenya chapter also called for legislation and policies to streamline corporate social responsibility.
According to the United Nations Volunteers Research, the contribution of volunteerism to the economy is largely invisible, with figures estimating that volunteers in Kenya contribute an average of 670 million hours per year, or equivalent to 3.66% of the country's gross domestic product. It is these very statistics that indicate how much volunteering is still needed in the country.
You can find an organization, whether corporate or civil society, who have a lot of staff, or very few staff, but they are having high skills. And then we have a struggling community organization within our small informal settlements, or even in our rural areas. So we encourage them to go and give that expertise to these younger ones.
Speaking at this year's Good Deeds Day celebrations in Nairobi, lack of awareness on where and when to volunteer was recognized as among the challenges hindering volunteer work in Kenya. The government, on its part, is looking to encourage more entities to volunteer as an added CSR activity.
We, as government, we are supposed to celebrate, come together like we have done today, eat together, do free work like sweeping in hospital, in the streets.
Good Deeds Day has been celebrated in Kenya since 2017, led and co-hosted by the Volunteer Involving Organization Society.
We decided to appreciate it, acknowledge it, and mark it as an internationally recognized day for volunteers, for organizations, and for everyone who's doing something to impact another fellow.
The global event has been able to allow over 200 organizations across the country to champion doing good to humanity and the environment.
What am I forgetting? Nini? Workers paid. Rent checked. Mlango locked. Visiting nguo za mzae nilitoa jana long. Internet zote. What is it? What am I forgetting?
Ni nini? Nimesahau kucheza Loto Moto.
Usisahau kucheza Loto Moto. Unaweza shinda hadi milioni 2 kwenye M-Pesa. Chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number weka 757070. Account number weka neno Loto. Weka kiwango chochote cha pesa kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi 2000. Lipa kisha subiri draw. Ujumbe huu umeidhinishwa na BCLP.
To get Skizatune Hail Mary, dial *811 *963#.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
To get Hail Mary, dial *811 *963# *811 *963#.
Good evening, you're still watching Sunday Express right here on KBC Channel 1. I'm Regina, Manyara. Now, we talk about the role that men have to play in society. Men double up as brothers, they double up as uncles, fathers. They take up leadership roles in various capacities within the society. But then focus seemingly has shifted in building capacity when it comes to the girl child, and the boy child is forgotten. Tonight we talk about the process of becoming a man of valor. And we're talking to none other than the co-founder of the Braveheart Leadership Program, who is also a psychologist. Karibu sana, John Wills Njoroge.
Thank you.
When you talk about men of valor, it sounds like maybe a title of a movie or so. But now let's address the issue of what was your driving force to come up with this mentorship program, and why did you target boys?
Two things. One, growing up, I had when I went to high school after primary school, one day as I was perusing the newspapers, I saw images of my former primary school kids who had been shot by the police because they were involved in criminal activities, and they all had one thing in common: they didn't have fathers. And then number two, there's this man who mentored me, and as a result of that, one of the things that he challenged me to do is pay forward by mentoring other young people. Yes.
Okay, so you drew from inspiration from that.
Yes.
But then let's look at, there's a general feel that focus has always, for the last several years, been on building capacity towards a girl child, and the boy child has somewhat, been left behind. We also had the deputy president's first wife, Dorcas Rigathi, mentioned to that.
Yes.
And what are we doing? What is the program doing to ensure that the boy child is also included when it comes to matters of building capacity?
One is identifying that children and youth, and especially the boys, are under threat, and we need to take a collective measure. And one of the things that we have done is recruit mentors, train mentors, and also partner with schools and religious groups, so that we can provide an avenue for boys to engage with the mentors. Given that currently most of the families that we have in Kenya, they are led by single mothers, and it's something that we need to pay attention to, especially because when boys grow without the father figure, it becomes a challenge because they are not able to draw some of the skills and also their roles in the society as men.
I'd want to be a devil's advocate in this particular position, because I'm thinking we're doing a bandage onto absentee fathers within the homes. But then instead of going after the reason of absentee fathers, why are they absconding their duties as fathers and dads? Maybe in this particular mentorship program, are you also targeting, young men who at one point are going to be father figures, or rather be fathers to their children?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's where we recruit mentors. And as we mentor these boys, those who graduate, we encourage them to come back and to play part in this. And then number two, also encouraging fathers to participate because there are children who will come and say, I would really want to meet my dad. And so communicating to the fathers that your absence contributes to this. And if you don't play part in your son's life, then you affect his self-estimation in the society. And that's the way we pass on issues from one generation to the next. Yes.
Then the disclaimer is then, are you saying that single mothers are not capable of bringing up morally upright men of valor?
Not necessarily. I think one of the things that we need to acknowledge is we need to take care of we need to take care of the family units and to involve everyone. And we are not implying that single mothers are not capable, but you realize there's so many factors that can actually contribute to a stressed mother or even a stressed father. And when a mother is stressed, especially when the father has denied that this is my child, then it becomes an issue because then that stress is passed on to the child. And so even mothers, actually most of the guys who advocate for this program are mothers. Yes.
So tell us more about this particular program, and is it rolled out across the country or are you domiciled in particular areas?
No, actually our target is every boy in this country and even beyond, because we also have a group going through the program in Uganda, and we've also had a few engage in this program from Germany. And what we have is we have 10 topics that we cover. Here's the manual that boys use, and so every week they have a chapter that they tackle, and the first chapter here is vision. And the reason why we put that as the first chapter is because where there is no vision, people perish. And once a boy captures the vision, why they exist in this world, and their role in community development, and also helping their families, it's because once they understand that this is my vision and this is what I live for, then that becomes their true north. The other one is roller coaster, because we deal with teenagers. Yes. There's so many things that they go through and we address them. And here we are not actually talking to them, but engaging in a conversation, because our belief is that there's no child who comes in this world empty. For us is to nurture them and to nurture that which their maker put in them. Yeah.
Now, Wills, I'd want to ask a question that has maybe sometimes even broken homes. The issue of the 50-50, shared responsibility within the family setup. Because what we learn within our homes definitely, carries a lot of weight to the decisions that we make as adults. This the role of a man within a family setup.
I would say that the most important thing is for a man and a woman to complement and not to compete. Then also shared vision and shared values in the family. And so you will realize that you can have a company or a business, and you have a business model, but as a family you don't come together and discuss that this is where we are heading and these are the needs that we are meeting in the family. And 50-50 sometimes may not work, because maybe at one time the husband may not be working, or even the wife may not be working. And so how do you complement and prioritize raising these children in a wholesome way? Because if we neglect the needs that the children have, then it becomes a challenge. And what children pick from us is rejection. Yeah.
Now, I've brought this issue up because there's a way we were raised in the 70s and 80s and how we are raising our children now. We were raised to know that a man is the head of the family, he's a provider. But currently, we're finding homes that are ran by women, and they're in a marriage institution. So how do we marry what we learned vis-a-vis what the reality is? How do we get to a consensus and say this is our situation and this is where we are at. Because I think it's also bringing a lot of, pressures, especially on young boys. They're expected to do this, but the reality is this. How does that not affect their self-esteem? Because I tend to think it's also a self-esteem issue.
Absolutely, and that is why our first topic is vision. Because when you take the word provision, it is being pro-vision. Providing direction in the family, and for children learning from us, there's how we were raised, there's what we saw, but also times have changed, especially because of the other factors like economic factors. Then as a society, especially in urban areas, we don't have villages where people come together, where you can say that, my friend here, you don't have enough food, can we share what we have? So it becomes a challenge. But even then, people were going through issues. But they were growing together as a community. And I think the spirit of Ubuntu then was stronger than the way it is right now. Because currently we are just competing.
Yes, we are capitalistic. So final word, Wills, as we bring this to a close. How do we, basically, just 2-3 things on how to become a man of valor?
One of the things is ensure that if you have a son, and if you have a son for the father, make sure that you're available for your son. As a mom, if you have a son, make sure that there's a man in his life, because there are different things that actually contribute to raising a child as a single mom. There's a separation, there's divorce, there's death. All those factors are there. But I would also encourage men in our society to rise up and identify a son somewhere. Because as you mentor that son, as you encourage that son, you actually helping the future, and you're writing a different story for us as a nation and even as a continent. Yes.
Very well said. We put that conversation to that. We grind to a halt on that. And the challenge is, if you're a man out there, identify a son you can be a father to provide mentorship. As they say, if boys do not learn, then men will never know. You're watching Sunday Express.
Biggest odds in the world every day on selected matches. Make a decision. Mozart Bet.
News is brought to you by Mozart Bet.
Kurumisha ndege. Aviator instant game. Be a daring pilot and earn by how much high you can lift the plane. The higher you fly, the higher your win. The sky is the limit. Mozart Bet.
It's time for sports now. KCB have registered their 14th win of the season after beating Wazito FC 2-0 in a Kenyan Premier League match played at the Kasarani Stadium. The Bankers started the match on high, scoring their first goal in the 18th minute through Kennedy Owino. Apollo Teno then added the second goal 16 minutes later to give his team all the 3 points. In another match, Gor Mahia were held to a 2-2 draw by Posta Rangers despite leading 2-0 through a first half double from Benson Omala. In other results, Bandari beat Bidco 1-0. Nzoia Sugar won 3-0 against Mathare United. Ulinzi Stars beat Kariobangi Sharks 1-0. Nairobi City Stars thrashed Vihiga Bullets 5-2, while the match Kakamega Homeboys and AFC Leopards was abandoned. And Kenya's Timothy Kiplagat finished second in this year's edition of the Rotterdam Marathon held today in Netherlands. Kenyan-born Bahrainian Yenis Chuma and Belgium-based Abdi Bashir were crowned the champions of this year's race.
Kenya's Timothy Kiplagat finished second after clocking 2 hours, 3 minutes and 50 seconds, almost 2 minutes faster than his previous personal best. Abdi Bashir of Belgium emerged victorious in 2 hours, 3 minutes and 48 seconds, while Abdi Nagie from Netherlands clocked 2 hours, 5 minutes and 32 seconds to finish third. Kenyan-born Bahrain Yunis Chumba took control in the women's race before extending her lead over the rest of the competitors to win with a gap of over a minute. Teshfu Dolshi of Eritrea finished second with a time of 2 hours, 21 minutes and 35 seconds, while Rose Chelimo, a Bahrain runner-born in Kenya, secured third place with a time of 2 hours, 26 minutes and 21 seconds. Tomorrow, 6 Kenyan elite runners led by world marathon record holder Eliud Kipchoge will take part in the 127th edition of the Boston Marathon in the United States. Kipchoge is seeking to win his major marathon title in the United States since winning Chicago Marathon title in 2014. In the women's category, Helen Obiri will be making her debut in the race. Kenya's two-time Boston Marathon winner Edna Kiplagat will be making her return, as well as Ethiopia's Ababel Yeshmane and Kenya's Mary Ngugi, who finished second and third respectively in Boston last year. For Sunday Express, I am Nora Mungi.
Absolutely, the race by Eliud Kipchoge is something you don't want to miss. Total Hotspurs were crowned the 2023 champions of the Governor Olen Tutu Cup after beating Ololunga 3-1 in an entertaining final match held at William Olen Timama Stadium in Narok. The event was held to promote talent and expose the youth to opportunities in top-flight leagues.
Gitai Chege gave Ololunga an early lead in the 8th minute before Total's Nabala Saigero scored the equalizer in the 25th minute. At the stroke of the 38th minute, Total extended their lead through Brian Nyambane, forcing a 2-1 half-time lead before Nyambane added a third with 10 minutes to the remaining of the normal time. In the girls' competition, defending champions Talanta retained their title after a 3-1 victory over Ololunga.
Unajua vijana wetu wasipojihusisha na mambo ya michezo kama hii, watoto wetu wataendelea kunywa vinywaji na vileo, na hiyo itaharibu miili zao. Napenda kuambia vijana wetu muendelee na michezo kama hizi, kwa sababu itapunguza vitu zingine ambazo hasistahili tufanye.
The Ministry of Sports is planning to host a major soccer tournament that will bring together all counties.
Magavana waanze safari ya kutayarisha timu za county, kwa sababu ifikapo mwezi wa Agosti tunaanza league ya county zote 47, mashindano ya timu za county. Na sasa mimi naona jameni, mtangulia kisimani hunywa maji maenge.
Narok Governor Olen Tutu wants the government to renovate William Olen Timama Stadium to international standards.
Tunataka kufanya a major renovation kwa hii uwanja yetu ya Olen Timama Stadium, iwe ya high standard, ili hao vijana wetu wakikimbia hapa tuweze kuangalia ya kwamba tumeweka zile vitu ambaye zinatakikana.
The event was held to promote the talent and expose the youth to opportunities in top flight leagues.
Kulikuwa na timu ya Narok Queens ambayo nimesikia wao ndio washindi, na mimi kama mama county najua hizi timu zote ni zangu, na mimi sina uwezo wa kufanya michezo kama hii kuanza mashindani kwa sababu sina mfuko mkubwa, lakini nataka kuomba ya kwamba niandae pia talents, kwa sababu NGAF pia ina support talent.
For Sunday Express, I'm Daniel Mwendwa.
This is not some very good news for Arsenal, because in the English Premier League leaders, Arsenal missed a penalty and threw away a 2-goal lead as they drew 2-2 against West Ham in a league match played at the London Stadium. The Gunners have 7 matches left this season and play Southampton at home on Friday and then face Manchester City, who have a game at hand at Etihad Stadium on the 26th of this month. Of course, that complicates the math for Arsenal. Sheringham Forest. Regina is seriously here waxing lyrical. about how they've won their match being played by Manchester United. This is, of course, we put a cap on sports. Regina?
Indeed. Okay, the week ahead.
Sports News was brought to you by Mozart Bet.
Nafasi yako ya kuwa mdosi wako. Jiunge na washindi tufanye biashara. Kuwa mshindi. Mozart Bet.
I think our good commentary about the events of today have been interrupted by a Chelsea fan called John Muheka.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you would understand the pain. So you won the game?
Yes, we won the game, 2-0. And now we're in position 3. I think Chelsea fans, including our very own producer and camera person, who might just exactly fade us out, well, Chelsea, you should keep quiet when the big boys are speaking. Anyway, it's a wrap in as far as much as Sunday Express News is concerned. I'm Regina Manyara. Have a blessed week ahead.
You're not serious. No. It's time for us to put a cap on the bulletin. And of course, next week you'll be in the hands of Regina. See you the other week. God bless you and have yourself a fantastic week ahead.